I see it live. There it is. We are live with Adam, Untamed Adam. Why are you untamed, Adam?
I run the Untamed Elephants, a big NFT community. So I adopted the Untamed adjective.
So, we are here to talk about NFTs, something I know next to nothing about. Adam, someone I've known for a long time, especially through social media, and invited me to offer some fitness consultation, as that's my expertise, over to his community on Discord of his NFT folks, the Untamed Elephants, as you said. And so that's where we connected, and he's like, "Hey, let me pay you with an NFT." I don't know if that violates any things in the world of physical therapy or anything, but it is what it is. I haven't actually accepted that because I have no idea how to even open a wallet of crypto or any of that stuff. So all these fun words here in the year 2022 are getting thrown around. Folks like you are probably making a lot more money than me just figuring out what this stuff is. So I figure maybe you can help us understand someone like me who likes to know more stuff, hence the name of this podcast, Bono stuff. I want to learn more. So I thought it'd be cool for you to share with my audience and me. What is an NFT? The best I can tell you is it's a non-fungible token, right? That's right,
Mhm.
NFT.
Yeah,
So where do we go from there?
yeah. And thanks for having me, and thanks for pumping up our community every Friday with a fitness tip. And the NFT world, um, people are people are on it 24/7, and it does take a toll on mental and physical health. So a Friday reminder for everyone to stop and stretch or breathe or take a walk, it can have a big difference. It can make a big impact. Uh,
Yeah, anytime I can make an impact, I'm ready to be there.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, everyone knows about cryptocurrency, right? Like Bitcoin and Ethereum and a bunch of the smaller coins. And crypto is crazy; it goes up and down, up and down. NFTs are similar. NFTs are like a subset of crypto. So if you think crypto is crazy, NFTs are the wild west of the crypto world. And non-fungible tokens, it's kind of a weird name. Basically, with Bitcoin, let's say, or the US dollar, they're interchangeable. If I give you a dollar, my dollar is equal to your dollar. Like, there's no difference.
Mhm.
But NFTs are more, everything has a serial number. So everything is unique. It's like owning, um, like when an artist does a print of a work, they'll sign it. This is 3 of 200,
Mhm.
serial number 3, and lower serial numbers can be worth more. And even though the picture is the same for every print, that different number makes it non-fungible. So it's just taking that idea into the crypto world where each token has its own identity, and often the token will have a picture attached to it as well, taking kind of that art print idea. Um, so um, so yeah, it's pretty cool. It's the first time that digital artists can get paid. Because before NFTs, I mean, how could a digital artist get paid? I mean, maybe they have to print out their work and sell it. Maybe they do commissions, but that's not really that much money compared to what, high-end studio artists make. So NFTs let them sell their digital work. NFTs are create community, because if, like in our community, everyone with an Untamed Elephant NFT um, feels like they're part of a clubhouse,
Mhm.
and they can check out your weekly fitness tips. They get entered into raffles. They get first shots at buying cool new art. Um, then there's kind of the collectability factor, like baseball cards. These are just digital baseball cards. You can think of it as
Mhm.
well. So there's a lot of different angles to it. There's play to earn video games, which are kind of video games that you play that actually pay you rather than
Hmm.
you just paying them.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, so it's the Wild West. There's a ton of applications everywhere. You can make an NFT. There's a million ideas for NFTs that are people are experimenting with. What can we do with this technology? You could make a Dr. Bo NFT, and every holder who holds it gets, some perk of being in the Dr. Bo NFT club. And when they don't want to be in the club anymore, they can list it for sale and someone else can buy it, and you get a small royalty for that secondary action. So we're seeing some things like that as well. I went to a sports event recently, and their pitch is they release an NFT membership pass for everyone, and the pass gives you access to go to like box suites at sports games for life. And so some people buy it for that perk. Some people buy it because they hope the value will go up so they can just sell it and make a profit. So it's before NFTs, it's really, really hard to sell memberships to things. Like you can sign up for a gym, but if that gym becomes really popular, it's not like you can resell your membership to someone else and make a profit from it, right? The best you can do is to stop being a member or just being a member.
Right.
But with NFTs, you can actually profit from the club's growth. And yeah, we've seen with country clubs, like the memberships can skyrocket. Elite places like Soho House, the membership rates can skyrocket, but the members aren't profiting from that growth. But with NFTs, they could actually resell their memberships to others and profit from it.
So I mean, would it be oversimplifying it too much to say it's pretty much like we only have 200 passes to the Soho House, and you bought the one of those 200? Is that kind of one way
Yeah.
to look at it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And as the Soho House becomes more popular, well, there's only 200 passes, so each pass is going to go up a lot in value.
Right.
So the
So
people who bought
so
in can,
simple supply demand will ultimately still drive the kind of macroeconomics of NFTs.
yeah, it's always a fixed supply. We haven't really seen any successful NFTs with an infinite supply or anything. It's always like there's always like a kind of, you want it to feel like you're a VIP and it's exclusive and
Right.
like it's limited edition, things like that.
So, like again, what you offered me was a bunch of these elephants with all different colors and prints and themes. Um, I still do want that Bob Ross one, but you said there was an issue with the copyright or something there, right?
Yeah.
But let's say there's that one Bob Ross elephant, and that's
Mhm.
the one I want. And let's say let's skip the copyright issue. Um, but what if I own that Bob Ross elephant? And no one else can have it. And then there should be certain perks associated with that. That's what makes it valuable. And there's only the one Bob Ross elephant. So nobody could take a screenshot of it and be like, this is my Bob Ross elephant. And it says only Dr. Bo owns the Bob Ross elephant, theoretically. Or there's 200 Bob Ross elephants, but I own one of 200. Is that
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, often in a collection, sometimes some NFTs will have more utility, more perks, but oftentimes people like the rare ones and um the graphically pleasing ones.
Mhm.
They'll pay a premium for it just because it looks nice on your Twitter, or you can flex it like kind of a vanity license plate. So it's not always like the utility that's driving an extra price. It's kind of the flex factor that makes, because if there's only one Bob Ross one and a lot of people want it, even if the Bob Ross one does nothing different than a normal one, maybe it'll command extra money
Mm.
for it. So.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm starting to get it a little bit.
Mm.
And then are you familiar with NILs? What's going on with all the college kind of athletes? Are you familiar with that somewhat?
Yeah, yeah.
No? Well, then we're not going to go down that path. I think it's meant to be kind of similar, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. So again, I'm very green when it comes. That's why I'm wearing my green shirt. When it comes to all this again, crypto, NFTs, NILs. I forget exactly what the NIL is, but it's something that a lot of the college athletes are now able to profit off of, where
Mhm.
that was a huge thing. So I don't know if it's again their likeness, something like that. But we won't, since neither of us are that familiar with it. Let's not waste time there. So NFTs, building community. We have a little bit of better sense of this kind of marketplace. So yeah, we wanted to talk a little bit about the whole concept of crypto and everything, and how there are servers involved, and this is
Mhm.
different. So crypto versus NFTs don't necessarily have that environmental impact that gets talked about with, or do they, when it comes to NFTs, crypto?
So, exact same issues.
Mm,
NFTs, though NFTs as a whole, crypto has bigger issues because NFTs, because Bitcoin is the biggest kind of um, polluter coin, I
mm,
guess. And there's no NFTs, or very few built on Bitcoin. So most are built on Ethereum or Solana or other chains. So the environmental concerns are, it's always important to, factor it in, but I think it's overstated a little bit. I mean, if you look at the history of Ethereum, it's going in the right direction with more and more powered by green. They're upgrading their infrastructure. There's a lot of blockchain NFTs that have almost no environmental impact. Like Solana is a huge, huge blockchain that has a lot of NFT volume on it, and that has almost no environmental impact at all. So
mm,
I think it's rapidly evolving. Any new technology will be inefficient at first, and then rapidly get better because tech improves pretty quickly. I think the issue, though, I think a lot of the complaints against the impact are more that people in their gut maybe don't like the idea that someone can make a lot of money off a monkey picture, for example.
yeah.
It's like someone's working really hard every day, and then they just see a bunch of, high schoolers make $1 million off a picture of a monkey. And then when you have like an innate dislike of something, then it's like, oh well, then that kind of can lead to just kind of overstating the negatives around it. When the real problem is that there's bigger economic policy issues, like as to why inflation is getting really bad, and there's bigger issues in the world.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you dismiss the environmental impact, to
Yeah,
some
I mean,
extent.
it's valid. I'm happy that all the crypto people are working hard to improve it, but
Mm.
I mean, think of so many other things that have much bigger environmental impacts that no one cares about. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's just easy for, to your point a little, sorry to cut you off there. So it's easy for us to focus on paper straws in California, and like in the
yeah.
grand scheme of things, that's 0.0001% of the issue of what we're talking about, versus some impact we can make on, reducing emissions. Uh, yeah, there's definitely some like, where can we make an impact? Is we're going to yell about this thing that clearly is making some kind of negative thing. So yeah, there's definitely the human ego, if we want to really go into the psychology of why people focus on things that really don't mean that much. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff there. But coming back to the real world impact of it, I guess, can I, whether you share about yourself or other folks, I mean, are there people who are starting to invest in these things and are able to quit their day jobs? Is like, how many, I don't know if you would know how many, but is it legitimate to say folks are able to completely, whether it's crypto and or NFTs, yeah, like you said, people working hard 9 to 5, and then there's folks who are like, hey, I figured this thing out, and I'm making a couple $100,000 a year on NFTs? Or is it still, the thing for me is, it's like, it still feels like it's all kind of made up money, that it kind of is, right? But there is a real world impact of like, I can buy a house with the NFTs I bought last year. and now I have a house from just kind of again playing online. So yeah, what I guess, can you solidify that in the air feel for me?
Yeah. So NFTs, it's the very, very early days. And I tell people that um, it's one of the areas where there's the highest risk and the highest reward.
Hmm.
And you wouldn't have high reward without the high risk. So, um, there's a few paths to take. One, you can try to be a day trader. And when I started in NFTs almost a year ago, day trading was much easier than it is now because there was so much fewer people in it. The market was just like super unsophisticated. People would just list NFTs way below their market value. So if you just had any effort at all, you just buy them and sell them and make money. But now day trading, you have to dedicate a tremendous amount of time to it. It's kind of like day trading stocks almost. It's not
Hmm.
as sophisticated as the stock market, but I feel like it's getting there. So, and with day trading, you're competing against others. It's a zero-sum game. You're hoping that, you can, it's like sitting down at a poker table. You're hoping that you can outplay all these people. So you can lose money as easily as you gain money. So
Hmm.
it's really, really hard to make a full-time living unless I'd liken it to playing poker. Some people can do
Okay.
it, some people can't, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of risk involved. So there's the day trading aspect. Then there's being a artist. I knew some traditional artists. I've known some traditional artists who, because of NFTs, could leave their day jobs where they weren't doing art, and now they can focus on art because they built up a community in NFTs and they are able to sell their art for the first time. And so, so I've seen that happen definitely. As I said, digital artists have a hard time of um, monetizing their work otherwise.
Right.
Um, then there's a long-term investing perspective where um, where you just allocate some percentage of your money and buy and hold good NFTs, quality NFTs, and um, that it's harder to get rich quick from that because sometimes, like, the biggest example of an NFT success was Bored Apes,
Hmm.
and anyone who bought a Bored Ape at mint for 0.08 ETH, which was a few $100, now with all the benefits they get, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, maybe have made like $500,000 to $1 million from in less than a year. But during that year, they had to hold the asset and watch it go up and down and up and
Hmm.
down and up and down and not sell. So if
Right.
they were trying to day trade along the way, they probably would have lost money. But if they
Right.
just bought and held, then they did well. And some NFTs haven't done well, so
Yeah.
most haven't. So
Right.
um,
Would you can I mean, again, based on your experience in that marketplace, what percent is it, like 1% that if you had gotten it and sold it, and or gotten it and held on to it for whatever the last year,
mhm.
that you 1%, less than 1%? Is it maybe it's 10% that would have still made money? Or is it just a flooded market? Similar to again, all the crypto, from my understanding, is
Yeah.
maybe if you did it at the right time, again, that's all somewhat skill and luck. But it's uh for someone like me who doesn't understand all that stuff and has some little bit of a toe in like the understanding of it, even, yeah, can you put a percentage on what you've seen, maybe, of?
Yeah. It's hard because, like, in the early back then, um, pretty much most projects back then to now have either retained their value, gone up spectacularly, or gone up spectacularly with some, falling to the wayside. But now there's like 2,000 NFTs that launch a month, so the odds are going to be much less.
Right, right.
But you don't have to, there every big NFT project has a lower point of entry. For example, with Bored Apes, you don't have to buy a Bored Ape, which is like $500,000, or a Bored Mutant, which is like $100,000. You could buy their ape coin, which each ape coin is like $17, and then you're part of their ecosystem for pretty cheap.
Right.
So there's ways to buy like quality NFTs, or at least be part of their ecosystem for relatively cheap. Someone asked me, they said, I have $1,500. How can I invest in NFTs?
Mm-hmm.
And there's an NFT exchange called Looks Rare, and you could buy their token for $1,500. And since they're an exchange, you kind of profit from every NFT sale. And so it's kind of an indirect way. You don't have to gamble on, oh, I think this NFT will go up and this won't. You can just buy a percentage of an exchange, and they're paying like 150% interest on their token. So if with the interest, it's compounding, and if their token goes up because their volume is doing well, because NFTs are doing well, it kind of compounds on top of each other. So there's simple ways to invest in NFTs without trying to pick winners and losers.
Right. Okay. Along those lines, I guess what that makes me think of, that is a question I've still had, and I've heard people kind of go back and forth on a little bit, is from the NFT concept. And I sent you that podcast. I don't know if you actually listened to it, from Ezra Klein of New York Times, talking negatively about crypto in general.
Yeah.
So one of the things that he was talking about is, again, so let's say I put $1,500 into an NFT today.
Yeah.
And a month from now, it's up to $10,000 or $15,000. I 10x my investment. I'm like, cool, I'm pulling out. Like, that's a pretty nice little profit. I'm pulling out today. His take on that was, it's somewhat frowned upon, and or I don't know if it's near impossible, but because you're in the community and they're like, dude, this is gonna keep going up. Like, you're gonna miss out on so much more money. But again, is it the community piece? Is it frowned upon if that was the case? Well, do you have experience around that? Because that was one of his main points, I think, of all the negatives of the NFT community, is like, we really want you to be part of the community. We don't want you to come in here, take your money, and run, and like make money off of us. So I don't know how you feel about that concept, and or can you give me $15,000 right now?
Yeah. There can be a little bit of cell shaming if you like, for example, if Dr. Bo sells his Untamed elephant, being like our fitness guy, yeah, I could see a little bit of people rolling their eyes, but it's pretty overstated, because a lot of NFT people are anonymous there, and a lot of NFT people are kind of degenerate gamblers too. So I wouldn't call that like a major issue. I think it's just kind of an asterisk, and it's an interesting little extra thing. But I see more people in the NFT communities constantly say, remember to take profits. Are you sure you're not over leveraged? Like, I see a lot more of that, of people like giving advice for people to take profits, and to have liquidity on the side. If all your money is NFTs, in the NFT world, sometimes ridiculous opportunities will come up out of nowhere, and if you don't have the money available to like just buy quickly, then you'll miss out. So a lot of experienced NFT people will preach to keep a lot liquid on the side, because you can lose a lot in missed opportunity. So I think the NFT world, there is a little bit of cell shaming sometimes, but it's Like I've sold so many of my NFTs, I've never gotten any hassle for it.
So
So
that was the other part of that question. Is it's pretty straightforward to, send $1,500 to Adam, Untamed Adam, and buy my NFT. And then again, let's say in that month it 10x's or whatever, even if it goes up even a little bit, it's easy enough for me to say, hey, like, we're about to buy a house. I need to get some cash flow here, liquidity, like you're saying. It's pretty straightforward to say, I'd like my $15,000 now. Thank you.
yeah, so there's no so NFTs aren't some NFTs are more liquid than others. So for example, you could have a collection that every day there's like 100 sales, right? And then another collection that every day there's one sale. So if you're trying to sell an NFT really quickly, but there's only one sale a day in the whole collection, you have to wait a long time. It's closer to eBay almost
Mm,
than the stock market. In the stock market, you could buy and sell instantly.
right.
On eBay, you have to list and you have to wait for a buyer to come, and so it's something else to think about with
Yeah.
NFTs.
That's one of my biggest concerns. I'm pretty traditional. Like I'm an immigrant from Russia in the Cold War. Like we were definitely money under the mattress type of people. So this kind of like, yeah, let me take $1,500 and just throw it into space and hope that someday it'll come back to me and not lose $1,500. Is definitely a very alien type of concept that I'm all for getting rich, but it's again, even like, if it 10x, it's still like, yeah, how long, you're saying it's going to completely depend on what community that's in and like what their
Yeah,
kind of
well,
thing
if
is.
if if a collection 10x's, it means there's so many buyers that you
Well,
can.
whatever, 2x or even
Okay,
1.5x or
yeah,
whatever, just any kind of growth. And I'm just like, or even I lose, it's 0.75x. I lost a little bit of money, but it still want to take it out. Like you're saying, it still might take me a month to get that money out.
depends. Yeah, depends on the collection, or you have to price more aggressively. And
Is there a way to know that up front, or you just have
yes,
to have experience with it more or less?
yeah. So yeah, NFTs definitely have a learning curve to them, and a lot of newcomers to NFTs get burned badly. Like
Hmm,
beginners at poker, like in again
right.
the poker tape analogy, a
Yeah.
beginner who goes to Vegas and sits down is just going to get wrecked. And
Right.
I've seen it with a lot of people in NFTs because they see an ad on Instagram for some scam project, and then they spend all their money on the scam project, and then
Mhm.
it disappears. So, and that
Right.
happens every day. So,
Right.
the better you get, the more you're able to. Like when I buy an NFT, it's I think of it like poker odds. I'm like, okay, this has a 60% chance of doing well,
Mm,
and so I know it's a good bet. It might not pan
right.
out. Just like in poker, you could have a good hand, but some you can lose.
Right.
So
But there is a chance you will lose all of your money. Like, and that's kind of my philosophy with anything, gambling on football games or whatever, is don't bet more than you're willing to lose, because most likely you're going to lose. Um,
yeah,
it's
that's a cardinal rule with NFTs as well. I mean, I tell people only put like 10% of your money into crypto, 10 to 20% max, 20% if you really, really know what you're doing.
mm,
And you could think about NFTs as well.
right,
So maybe 5% in NFTs. So even if you lose, if it goes up a lot, then it's enough money to care about. But if it goes to zero, well, 5% isn't a big deal anyway.
right, right. Right. Different people, different situations, all that good
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
Along those lines, though, yeah, I guess the other really interesting thing, we talked a little bit about the stock market, is obviously the stock market has its own ups, downs, and learning curves as well. But again, for me, like I was saying, I'm just like, I'm okay doing a 30-year plan where if I have 6% compounding interest for 30 years, I'll take that over losing 100% of my investment. And so even with like a traditional IRA, or a Roth IRA, putting $6,000 into that a year, seems like a better investment than putting $6,000 towards NFTs right now. where that $6,000 could turn into $100,000 in like within a few months.
Hmm.
Is the theory if you kind of again, but like that's what one out of every couple thousand NFTs that you might get lucky with. So that's where I again, it helps to have a little bit of a sense of the likelihood and the percentages. And I'm just again, that's how my brain works. I want to know like what are my chances here. So yeah, I don't know if there's an answer or if I
Yeah,
even asked a question in there, but
no, I think no, as I said, I think like yeah, for most people, just put it in an index fund with low fees for a long period of time, but put a little bit into crypto and NFTs just in case. Where if it goes to zero, it's not going to hurt that badly over 30 years. But it like when I started in NFTs, I was a big crypto guy for 10 years, and I put I put 20% of my crypto into NFTs,
mhm,
realizing it could all go to zero, and everyone thought I was crazy. But I'm like, yeah, this is my crypto investment money anyway.
right,
And
house money,
yeah, and my NFT portion went from 20% to being bigger than my crypto portfolio.
mm,
Um, so it could have gone the other way, but I limited kind of the exposure. Um, so yeah, and also yeah, it's something. Think of it as a hobby too.
right,
If it's a if you think of NFTs as a hobby, and a lot of people do, they get really passionate about it, and um, then it becomes kind of an entertainment expense on top of things like sports gambling. Like you
right,
would never tell someone to put all your money into sports gambling, but some people love sports gambling where it's their like favorite thing in the world, and they watch all the shows and all
hmm
the podcasts, and maybe they could be good at it too. So it's a little bit like that. But NFTs have much better odds than sports gambling because it's newer. It's a newer market. The tech is very interesting. It
mm,
could be big. It could power a lot of different things in the future.
right.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I could see how if you again take that same amount of energy and time that you might on sports and put it into understanding NFTs, especially because they're so new, you could certainly do better than gambling on a sporting event that has a couple other thousand variables that.
yeah, like I'll give you an example. There's a lot. If you really pay attention to NFTs, there's a lot of free money opportunities. Like a really hyped project had a raffle where um, anyone who won the raffle could um, buy their NFT, have the right to buy their NFT,
Mhm,
and buying their NFT because the demand was so high was basically free money because anyone who didn't win the raffle would buy it and lift the price up. So all the people paying attention to NFTs entered the raffle, and the odds ended up being about 25% of winning. Anyone who won that 25% of winning and bought the NFT made they bought it for 7 grand. Right now the value is 90 grand, so they
mm,
made 80 grand, a
right.
25% chance of winning 80 grand with almost no risk. So like that's unheard of.
Right.
Like um
Hmm,
so and that's of course if you held. Anyone who flipped immediately would
right.
still make like 10, 15 grand. Anyone who held would get higher. So there's these opportunities don't come along that often, so you really have to be involved and pay attention. But
Mhm.
uh, even if your risk tolerance is low, there's still opportunities like that to come in NFTs. And I didn't win the raffle, by the way.
Sorry to hear.
Yeah,
So, but you lost nothing. You lost
but
nothing.
yeah, I lost nothing except for like a couple minutes of entering the raffle.
Right. Right. People tend to go into those, win a $25 gift certificate for doing this 5-minute survey. Like people are willing to do that and they might be better served uh, learning a little more and finding these kind of, again, NFT raffles where they can make a lot more money than $25 like Amazon gift cards for.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And instead of having a 1 in a million chance of winning $100, you can have a 25% chance of
Right.
winning. Yeah.
The other question I have real quick, and we'll be respectful of your time and wrap up after
Yeah.
maybe this one is Is it beneficial because it is kind of community based to have more and more people investing and feeding into this system? Is that kind of the ultimate goal to some extent? Will that kind of it's not a pyramid scheme by any means, from what I can tell, because it's not like, oh, Dr. Bo's coming in, Adam's the one who brought him in. For if Dr. Bo brings in 15 people now, Adam's made X amount of money. So it's not that. It does, from my understanding, what I've seen is it does help to have more people involved because there's more interest. Or is it limited resources, so it's actually worse in that regard? Which way is
Yeah.
that going?
Yeah, the more people, the better. I mean, you always want to promote sales, so that people who do want to sell their NFT have a market for it. So that makes it healthy. Um, and I'll say that a big thing of NFTs is giving value back to the holders. Like, we all use Instagram, we all use YouTube and Facebook and everything, but like, they're making all the money.
Yeah.
When you play like Call of Duty and buy all these skins, or Fortnite and buy all these like outfits for your characters, the company's making all the money, and it's billions and billions of dollars. With NFTs, with this interesting technology, you can actually the people participating can actually profit
Mm,
alongside the growth on an almost equal, maybe not 100% equal, but on a pretty substantial level. So that's 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 the dream of it. I mean, to have the biggest success stories in TV and fitness and video games and comics, but done in a way that is more democratized,
mm,
where the, every, the people can grow with it. Like the apes are in the last year, the apes are $1 billion plus company now, right?
mm,
Um, but if it was any other startup, like a new social network that came out that grew to $1 billion, well, the users of that app wouldn't benefit at all. Like, what benefit are they getting? None of that billion is going to them. But with apes, all the ape holders, a lot of them became millionaires because
right.
they got to grow alongside the company.
Right.
So
So
it's
they're more stockholders, they're more investors, like early adopters, people who buy into, again, if you had bought Apple when it was first starting, right? Like, you'd be pretty pretty well.
yeah,
So it's more of that than being the user. You're involved, is giving more opportunities to be a
it's
part of something there.
yeah, it's the perfect marriage between users and kind of stockholder.
Right.
Like yeah, it combines them in a completely unique way that hasn't been done before.
No, I love it, man. Thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah, and I'll
Um,
say one
mhm,
last thing is that so our project Untamed Elephants is dedicated to saving the elephants with NFTs, and um, so our community is very big on donating to charity. And one thing that never gets told in NFT world is that NFTs have donated hundreds of millions of dollars to charities for a ton of different organizations, and
hmm,
from wildlife organizations to mental health organizations. And for a lot of these charities, it's the biggest donations they've ever gotten. I mean, the
hmm.
Jane Goodall Foundation got a donation recently that pays for 15 years of their expenses
Wow.
in just one big gut from an NFT project. So that story just, and with COVID, fundraising is very low in general, but
Hmm,
that story of just the sheer amount of money that's just being funneled to charity from NFTs hasn't been told at all.
right.
You look at the environmental concerns, it's big, but you look at, I don't know, $500 million to charity
Right.
in a very short period of time that funds all these millions of organizations. I mean, yeah, that story needs to be told as well.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate that nuance. That's why I love these podcasts. Conversations allows us to go deeper into some of those stories that don't get told, and talk about kind of the positives, negatives, risk, rewards, all that stuff. So appreciate
Mhm.
you sharing that. Do you have any places folks can go find out about Untamed Elephants, or you, or just NFTs in general, that you want to promote?
Yeah, our website, untamedelephants.io, is the right place to start. And
Awesome.
joining our Twitter at Elephant NFTs, and every Friday they can see a cool video from you as well.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes, sir. Well, thanks you again for your time, Untamed Adam. And I'm not going to be able to pull up that elephant song, or can I? But that's all right. We'll wrap it up here. Hope you guys got 1% better. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. If you have questions, we know where to direct them about NFTs, anything health and fitness. I got you. Nothing financial whatsoever. Do not come to me. I am not your guy, even though I now have a better understanding of this concept. But thank you again for that. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you guys